But if I could put the horizontal line on the Earth's terminator, it would position the engine to either steepen up or shallow out the angle on the way home, depending on whether I had daylight or nighttime at the top of my window, and I lit the engine just at the right time. That was the entire procedure. Fortunately, it worked. And we got back home safely, landed in the Pacific Ocean, got there about 2 days earlier than I should have.
How many of you know that that he was in the movie Apollo 13? Anybody know? Sir, in the back?
I've seen him.
Pardon?
Yes, sir.
What did he play in the movie?
I don't remember exactly.
Oh, he knows. Captain?
The skipper of the
That's the
carrier.
lieutenant? Say again?
The skipper of the carrier.
The lieutenant's right. Jim, when you see the movie next time, when Hanks, ugly Hanks, you know, comes up on the deck and he's greeted on the aircraft carrier, it's Lovell, playing the skipper of the aircraft carrier. So there was Apollo 13. Then 14, 15, 16 were all successful. They stayed longer and longer. They did more and more science. They had the rover up there. Alan Shepard hit a golf ball in one of those, did he?
14.
Huh?
Yeah.
In 14?
Yeah, I backed him up on that one, but he never taught me how to hit a golf ball. Thank you for that.
But then it gets to Apollo 17. There were supposed to be 3 more missions, 18, 19, 20. They were canceled because of budgets. And so all of a sudden, Apollo 17, with Gene as the commander, is going to be the last flight to the moon.
I needed to go back maybe for the same reasons Jim did. He came close in Apollo 8, I came close in Apollo 10, and I think somewhere ingrained in our, we were there to land on the moon. So that's why we went back, that's why I wanted, one of the big reasons I wanted to go back. Apollo 17, built as I said on every other mission. Learn from the mistakes, build on the success. It was different in a few ways. One, it was the first and only manned launch, night launch in the Apollo program on Saturn V. And I want to tell you, the Saturn V, sitting on top of that thing in the daytime is hell on wheels. And when they turn out the lights, folks, you operate at night, I know. When they turn out the lights, things do become different. It was pretty spectacular, both from the inside and the outside. Apollo 17 was, you know, all 6 landings, by the way, went to someplace else on the moon. We didn't all go to the same place. We all went someplace different. 17 was landing in the northeast edge of the moon, in a valley that was surrounded on mountains by 3 sides that are higher than the Grand Canyon is deep. It was in the mountain areas. When Neil started out in the desert, we ended up in the mountains, which is the way it should have been. We had a lunar rover, a little electric car that gave us capability to cover that entire valley. It was just a tremendous advice. I met a man yesterday, he said his grandfather, I think, helped build the wheels for that thing. So everybody has some identity with what happened those many years ago. Let me take you back real quick to sort of what it was like to make that descent Neil was talking about. It's give or take about 14 minutes in the most exciting period a human being could experience. At least that's my take on it. You know, that you're headed on down the moon. You start from about 47,000 feet. You fire that descent engine. You're on your back because you've got to slow down, let the lunar gravity start pulling you in. As a matter of fact, you're on your back with your face down so that you can look at some of those supposed landmarks you're supposed to hit to see that you're on schedule. And then you roll up, and as time goes on, you pitch over, and it's noisy, and it's vibrating, you're in your suit, and you're in a cocoon, got these big old gloves trying to handle the controls. This guy's telling you all the information he's reading on his side of the cockpit, the ground's telling you how much fuel you got, you're right on, you're not on, they're tracking you, you get down to about 7,000 feet. And prior to that, you're still on your back, and you can peek over the edge of the windows, which are slanted, and you can see the lunar horizon start to appear. And because we landed on the eastern edge of the moon, we literally started this whole project on the back side. And so now this is the first chance we could actually see the lunar horizon. You pitch over, and at 7,000 you pitch over, and my God, the whole moon is in front of you. And there's your valley, there's your landing site. We had the ability through a digital autopilot to, once we started seeing where we were, well, you don't get a lot of resolution from 7,000 feet. You could pick generally, you knew where your target was, and you could start to see craters come into view, and you can start redesignating where the spacecraft was going to land. Now remember, you know, there's a couple aviators in here I know, but we were in a real three-dimensional world. When you start the spacecraft moving left, it continues to move. It's not like an airplane. When you start it moving left, it's going to continue to move left. When you start it moving down or up or backwards, it doesn't. It's going to continue that motion until you take it out. So you get closer to the moon, and the noise and the talking and the vibration and everything is going on. You go through about 200 feet above the lunar surface, and now you're really getting close. And now you're beginning to see whether your landing site is acceptable, whether the boulders like Neil found are there, where the craters are, so you can find a smooth. And you didn't want to land more than, I think it was 15 degrees. Either way. And at 200 feet, because you got to come down at a rate of descent fast enough to keep from running out of fuel, but you got to have a rate of descent that's slow enough to keep under control, because you wanted to touch down at 1 or 2 feet per second, which isn't very much. But you got to get down as quick as you can, but as in control as you can. So at 200 feet, when you come through 200 feet, you're in an area that if you really had the wrong kind of problem and a descent engine shut down and you didn't have enough time to light the ascent engine, because that was a manual procedure. If we had to board and shut the descent engine down, we had to stage the two vehicles, separate them, fire the ascent engine, and get the hell out of there. And so you were going to, under certain circumstances, under most circumstances, below 200 feet, you're going to hit the ground, hit the lunar surface, maybe in less than an acceptable manner, quite frankly. But you didn't really think about that. You're just focused. About 80 feet, you get the dust, and the dust, remember, it's a 1/6 gravity environment and nowhere. So it's not dust like this. It goes laterally out like this, but the ground is obscured. And now you're committed. That's where you're going to land. And you know, about that time, the ground has nothing else to say, but they can't help you. They can't tell you much. This guy, and I told my co-pilot, I said, Jack, quiet. Don't talk to me anymore. I don't need any more information. I got it. We're going to take what we got. And we landed. And I don't know whether it was like that with Neil, but if you can imagine what deathly silence is, it was quiet. No one's talking to you. The guy on the right side is just petrified. Maybe the guy on the left side was too, I don't know. But it's quiet. There's no vibration. There's no noise. And by the way, what we do, we shut the engine down about 3 meters above the ground. And you fall, you go, boom, and you hit. Because if you didn't and you touched down and it was too soft, the rocket engine gets too close to the surface and there was a possibility of an explosion, a bad pressure explosion coming backwards. So you shut down so that that wouldn't happen. And when you hit, as I said, the ground isn't talking, he's not talking, the vibration is gone, the noise is gone, the dust is gone. And the thing that came to me is all of a sudden, I'm in that valley, seeing what has never been seen with human eyes before. I am somewhere where no human beings have ever been before. And it's something you have to think about and reckon with. The first thing you do is get ready to get out of there. Do you hear any hissing or you lose any pressures? Because if you broke something when you hit, you better get out of there quickly. The descent, you are in control. Everybody in this room is a control freak to some extent. You guys want to be in control.